Introduction. The flipped classroom model, or VCM, is an innovative approach in English language teaching that shifts learning activities outside the classroom, where students study materials through videos or readings at home in advance. This allows classroom time to be used for discussion and active practice. Information and communication technology, or ICT, plays a crucial role in this approach by providing digital resources that support students' independent learning. Although many studies have demonstrated the benefits of the flipped classroom, there is still a lack of comprehensive information regarding its impact on students' motivation and academic performance in English learning. Therefore, the systematic review analysis 66 studies from various countries involving more than 10,000 students to evaluate how the integration of ICT and the flipped classroom influences students' motivation, engagement, and English language proficiency, as well as to identify the challenges and benefits faced by educators in implementing this method. The findings aim to provide practically guidance for teachers, researchers, and educational policymakers. Literature review. The flipped classroom is an innovative teaching method that shifts the delivery of learning materials outside the classroom through videos or online readings, allowing classroom time to be used for discussion and active practice that enhance student engagement and understanding. This approach has been shown to improve English language learning motivation, critical thinking skills, and academic performance, as it enables more personalized learning and accommodates individual learning paths with the support of ICT. However, its implementation faces challenges such as limited access to technology and the internet, particularly for students from disadvantaged backgrounds, as well as some teachers reluctant to adapt to new instructional methods. Therefore, the successful implementation of the flipped classroom requires adequate technological infrastructure, continuous teacher training, and strong institutional support to overcome these barriers and maximize the benefits of the approach in improving the quality of English language learning. So in the research question, we have 4 research questions, and the first one is how does ICT integration in a flipped classroom impact student motivation and engagement in English learning compared to traditional methods? And the second one is how do the VCM instructional strategies and the use of ICT impact English language proficiency? And the third one, in what ways do students perception of motivation change when exposed to a systematic blend of the VCM and ICT in English language education? And the final question is what are the perceived challenges and benefits of implementing the flipped classroom and ICT in English teaching, and how do these perfection affects motivation to adopt these methods.
Hi, in this session, we want to know about the methodology that being applied on this research. So, um, in this session, we want to know two main points. First, what were the research methods that being applied on these studies, and the second is who were the participants of these studies, and how was the data being collected, or the procedures of collecting the data. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, start from the research method that being applied on this study. So the research method that being applied on these studies is called systematical review, followed by the prefer the preferred sorry the preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis, or usually called PRISMA guidelines. So what does this mean? It means that the researchers for these studies is doing a research on other researcher studies from other country in a large amount. So it is very obvious now that the participants for these studies is the students that has been being observed by other researchers. And the data that being collected here is the study from other researchers from countries like Indonesia, USA, or America, Colombia, Spain, and Russia. Mm, China, yeah, China. So, in this large amount, of course, the researchers for these studies is selected them to 66 studies in total. So, um, in a total amount for students that being uh, evolved in the studies, it are in 1,000 students. So instead of doing an observation in one school, in one region, the researchers for these studies is doing a research on other researchers that conduct an observation in their region and in their countries. But how were how was the researchers for these studies collecting or selected the data? It is very obvious. They selected the data or the studies from other researchers by uh, several categories. First is who is the author, where is the country, and how was the study design, what was the study design, and what was the main result from these researchers' studies. It is very important because the researchers want to really, make the reference and the collected data is linked perfectly to the researcher's question. So it is very important to select it to the data by using this category. The unexpected findings from these studies, they found that the impact of this integration is not always positive, even though most of them is words, but not all of them are words. This is why the teacher's role here is very important to be, follow up the students to keep up with the integration of ICT that they use.
Personal reflection and connection. This slide highlights how ICT has become integral part of modern language education, fundamentally transforming how we teach and how students learn. On the left, we see two key points. First, ICT provides powerful tools that change language, ask questions in ways we couldn't imagine just a decade ago. These tools range from simple vocabulary apps to complex platforms that facilitate authentic communication with native speakers. The second point highlights specific examples like interactive whiteboards and video conferencing tools that enable students to engage in the target language in meaningful contexts. The image on the right represents this shift. The laptop with actively typing hands shows students as active participants, not passive consumers. In my own teaching, I found that integrating ICT not only significantly encourages student engagement, but also provide critical opportunities for personalized learning experience. When used thoughtfully, technology helps us create the dynamic and effective language learning environments our students need. Research reflections. Moving on, my research led to two critical reflections. First, it strongly reinforced that technology, when used within a flipped classroom model or FGM, significantly enhance student motivation and autonomy. This because the FGM empowers students to learn at their own pace before class, making them better prepared and more confident for interactive activities. However, my second reflection challenged the common assumption that technology is an instant solution. The reality is more complex. My research highlights significant implementation challenges such as inadequate infrastructure, increased teacher workload, and the critical need for ongoing professional training. This issue forces us to think beyond the tools and plan for truly sustainable and equitable implementation. Like the butterflies on this slide, meaningful educational transformation is a process that requires patience and the right coincidence stories. Conclusion Conclusion takeaways. As we conclude, I want to leave you with three key takeaways. First, the research is undeniable. A meta-analysis of 66 international studies confirms that the flipped classroom combined with ICT positively impacts student motivation, engagement, and proficiency. This moves our pedagogy from anecdote to scientific validate practice. Second, for educators, the practical advice is to start small and prioritize professional development. Don't try to flip everything at once. Focus on training that covers both the technology and the underlying teach methods. Third, and most importantly, we must center our efforts on student support. This means ensuring technological equality for all students and using the class time with freed up to for rich collaboration practical activities that will underpin class.
I'm in the